Well, Experience PEI is an experiential tourism company, and our markets are primarily cruise, coach, convention, and tourists from outside the Maritimes. That accounts for 95% of our business, and that business completely disappeared as a result of COVID and the travel restrictions. So our company this year has been pretty much devastated by the loss of our markets, and that has meant that the 20 or so experience providers that we work with, the 8 tour guides that work for us doing our food tours and that, have just had no work at all this summer. When you lose 95% of your market, you lose 95% of your revenue. So when you're a company that is successful, that's been in business for 16 years, and this was anticipated to be probably our best year ever, that completely disappeared. And when you work in tourism, particularly if you're a seasonal business, you make your money from May until October. And you generally work your company so that you have funds to get you through the winter and have startup capital in the spring. But that money comes from the tourism season. With no tourism season, what we've had to do is eat into our cash reserves that would have been held over for the coming year. So, and there's not going to be any revenue at all coming in between October and May. So it puts us in an extremely difficult position going into to 2021, and you add to that the uncertainty of what is 2021 going to look like. And so we have to plan based upon worst case scenario, that next year is not going to be any better than this year, and figure out how does the company survive and continue to employ people and generate revenues for 30 some other people, as well as survive ourselves as individuals. And we don't want to be dependent on government funding. That as an entrepreneur, that's anathema to what we are and who we are. We want to be able to operate our businesses and generate revenues rather than having to apply for things like CERB and the wage subsidy program, and that we're thankful that those things are there, but that's not how we want to operate. That's not what we've been building the company for 16 years to do, to be dependent on government handouts. And this was to be the year that, coming up, that my wife and I retired from the business, and our daughter Ainsley and her wife moved from Toronto 3 years ago to come into our business, to learn the business, and eventually take over the company and buy us out. As any business person does, you're building your company to hopefully be able to sell it to somebody, and in our case, it was an opportunity to pass it on to another member of our family and see that business continue.
Yeah, we've been here for 3 years. This was supposed to be our 4th season. We had learned the ways of the business, and we were very prepared to take it over. And we had to have the really difficult conversation about whether or not this is a viable business for us now. We don't see 2021 as being any sort of tourism year. So definitely not to the capacity that was supposed to be this year. Tourism itself is going to change. How the cruise ships operate, it's going to change. Capacities are probably going to be lower. The amount of people that we can send on tours will shift. So that will eventually affect us as a business. And so we're going to have to adapt, or my parents are going to have to adapt, because right now we're 2 young people that moved to the island. We bought a house. We planned on staying here, and we're not completely sure if that's going to be our reality anymore. We're having to rethink what we can do here on the island, and whether or not the business will be a viable option for us going forward 20 years into the future. So it's caused a lot of time, like a lot of time just thinking through how we can support the business and still keep it going, so that my parents can hopefully in time retire and be financially secure, and at the same time worrying about our future, for the next 30 years. So, yeah. I think talking about the tourism industry going forward, what we're hoping is that we can, better understand as an industry what government's going to be doing as well, to help us develop new products. Like my dad said, we're not looking for handouts, but we're looking for ideas and ways that we can develop and grow our business. The business pivoted. We tried some new product ideas. We thought, okay, maybe this would work. And it's been okay, definitely okay, but it has not, we've not seen the revenues that we were supposed to see this year. Yeah.
I think the entire tourism industry is going through, I guess I would call it a catharsis right now. We're all trying to figure out what is the new normal going to be. We don't think that 2021 is likely to be much different than 2020, that it could take 2 to 3 years for us to return to the levels of 2019. And is that even possible? What is the new face of tourism? I think we all have to look at that. And tourism is such an important industry to this province. Depending on the years, we're either the number 2 or number 3 revenue generator, and the revenues that this industry generates is used for our healthcare system, for our education system. It's extremely important to the province, and so we're just trying to figure out as an industry, what's it going to look like? What's our role as entrepreneurs in developing the new tourism model in this province? Where do we fit in the government plans in terms of consultation, in terms of new product development, marketing? So there's a lot going on that we're trying to figure out. At the same time, we're trying to survive as an industry and keep our people employed and generate revenues for the province as well as ourselves. And we just, right now, there's no light at the end of the tunnel that's visible, and it's very difficult to plan when you don't know what the government is planning. We don't know what the situation is going to be in terms of travel restrictions and all of those things. We can come up with scenarios, and you've got to plan for a variety of them. But that makes it extremely difficult to manage your business. And we're a family-based business.